Monkey see, monkey voodoo? Voodoo? I don't know. I just saw The Monkey in theaters, and this is my review. So, The Monkey is a brand new film by Longlegs director Osgood Perkins. It comes out February 21st, 2025. I saw it at an early screening tonight. They're describing the genre as horror comedy, but I would say for me, it definitely leaned more on the comedy than the horror. I was laughing throughout this whole film. Essentially, the story goes these two twin brothers, kind of with a deadbeat dad, find the monkey, aforementioned monkey, in a closet trying to reconnect or try to understand their father, who's no longer in the picture. And we don't really know what happens to the father. And you kind of could fill in the blanks if you want. But basically, they discover this monkey that kills people when it starts beating the drum, and it plays a couple of classic tunes. So the monkey is based on a short story by Stephen King that was published in 1980, I believe, and then it was later included in the collection, short story collection. But it was first published in Gallery magazine in the early 80s. Story follows Hal Shelburne, who is played by Theo James. Let me see if I can get his picture up here. No, that's not it. This guy, Theo James, does a great job. Very great comedic timing, great actor. But it follows him for the most part. Him and his brother find the monkey, and every time the monkey plays the drum, somebody dies in an unpredictable and insane fashion. And so the film focuses a lot on kind of trauma, the questions of fate, horror, the whole litany of kind of your typical Stephen King affair, but it does it in a way that is just over the top, like grotesque and honestly hilarious. So Osgood Perkins, who directed Longlegs, one of my favorite films of 2024, directed this one. He came back to direct The Monkey, which is a pretty short film. It's like an hour and a half. But he said he was inspired by films like Death Becomes Her and An American Werewolf in London, which I totally see because, the combination of like surreal, over the top, like gore and horror and stuff like that. But it also does a good job of taking some of the questions proposed in the short story about kind of grief and trauma and destiny and what's an accident, what's meant to be kind of thing. Now, it brings all that up. So the cast, I really enjoyed Theo James. I thought he was really funny. He obviously played two characters. He played his brother Bill, he played Hal, he played both, and they're a little uncanny, and obviously they're screwed up in their own ways. And the kids that played the younger versions of them were pretty stellar too. And Tatiana Maslany played their mom, which I thought was awesome. She was great. Tatiana Maslany was a fantastic mother. I wish she was in more of the film, but we didn't get a ton of her. But the scenes she was in, she ate up. And I think she was a standout of the movie with her small role to play. I just love Tatiana. And we got a little bit of Elijah Wood in the film. But for a good chunk of the movie, we follow Hal going around with his son, trying to reconnect with him. He gets like a week out of the year. He's very estranged from his son, and the son is trying to learn more about the family. But obviously, Hal doesn't want him close by because he might become a victim of the monkey. So he's become an estranged father himself, which, maybe is why there's a lot of estranged fathers in this film. But he's doing it because he doesn't want anything to happen to his kid, but he ends up being just like his father in the same fashion. But I really love the relationship with the brothers, at least in the early part of the film. It's not, obviously it's pretty trepidatious. Hal is kind of like, he's kind of the nerdy one, and Bill is kind of the over the top bully big brother. Like, talks about he ate most of the placenta, stuff like that. So he's a little out there, and then Hal just gets the brunt of Bill's emotions. Essentially, he's at his whim, and he gets bullied a lot, and he wishes death upon his brother, and just stuff starts to happen. But I will say, moving on, I think the acting of most of the cast is pretty self-contained cast. I really enjoy the performances, very comedic. The kids had great timing. I really love the cast. Theo James playing Hal and playing Bill was just great, especially Bill, so uncanny and strange man. So good. So the cinematography, very similar to Longlegs, very kind of muted, monochromatic. You can kind of see it here. Kind of pulls that same style. A lot of the same shot choices as Longlegs, less dark and shadowy. A lot of this happens in kind of better lit areas, but some of the scenes are just over the top and they're shot almost like a scene out of Airplane or something. And there's a scene in the trailer you see where a woman goes to dive into a pool that's like electrocuted. And just seeing that scene in the film, what actually happens is just like the crowd erupted in laughter because it's so over the top and absurd, and it's shot in a kind of a comedic way. It feels very like Airplane, like those kind of spoof films of the 80s. And it just killed me. I was when I say I was laughing through the whole thing, I really was. It really got me. Some of the dialogue choices too were just so cheesy and a little campy, and it just like was self-aware enough to know know the cliches that it was kind of spewing out, that it made for such great comedy in this film. Yeah, there's some over-the-top death scenes, a lot of over-the-top death scenes. So if you're squeamish, I don't know if you're going to like this one, but if you are you have a darker sense of humor, I think this is going to be totally in your wheelhouse. This was just, I think it was so funny. People are kind of relating it to the Deadpool kind of humor where it's just like pretty brutal, but done and shot in such a way where it's kind of so absurd you can't help but laugh. But I really enjoyed the film. It was concise enough where I didn't feel like it was meandering too much. There's some stuff I think even at that shorter length, maybe they could have sped some stuff up, but I thought it was cool. I actually would love to see more of this movie. I don't know if it really necessitates a sequel, but they totally could do one if they really wanted to. There's a lot of funniness. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Dead Don't Die Jim Jarmusch movie that came out a couple years ago. There's a feeling of that too. Similar vibe where people are kind of nonchalant about the chaos happening around them. But, if that's your thing, you might really like this movie. Its reviews so far have been pretty mixed. I'm going to give it like a high B. I think they could have done a little bit more. Story, obviously it's based off a short story of Stephen King, but the story was a little loose, which I usually don't mind, but I felt like to really drive home some of the themes and questions they were posing, they could have tightened some stuff up more, especially with the father-son stuff. I feel like they left that a little bit open, but, maybe they will do a sequel. I don't know. I don't know how Stephen King feels about it. Right now, it has a 85%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes at the time of this recording, which sounds accurate. I would give it also like kind of an 85, like high B+, probably give it like 4 stars if I had to give it a star rating. But overall, I really like The Monkey. I'm totally on board with Osgood Perkins' next movie, which is coming out, I believe, also this year. So I'm staying in the Osgood Perkins camp. Longlegs I really liked, even though I thought that fell off at the end, but I think they nailed it. I think Osgood nailed it in this one. I'm a big fan. I'm not usually a huge Stephen King movie guy. I love The Shining. I like every so often I like a Stephen King adaptation, but I think this has become, and I'm going to have to rewatch it a couple times, but this is going to become one of my top favorite Stephen King story adaptations. But if you're a fan of horror, if you like Longlegs, but if you also like stuff like Airplane or The Dead Don't Die, or you're like Deadpool, you like that Deadpool kind of like gross comedy, I think you're going to really like this. There's just a lot of good humor in it, and there's a lot of good laughs and pretty brutal stuff. Let me know what you think. If you saw the movie, let me know what you think. If you're planning on seeing it, let me know what your thoughts are after you see it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new here. I really appreciate you stopping by. This year is going to be crazy with movies, so I'm going to be covering as many as I possibly can. But in the meantime, I cover a lot of other stuff. I cover UAPs. I cover movie, TV, news, anything that tickles my fancy. So if you guys want to hang around for that, just subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.